Welcome to the She Wins podcast. I'm your host, Heather Sumlin, and today I am joined by Riley Tejcek. She is a Marine officer. She is a USA Bobsled team member, and she's the current Ms. Military. I cannot wait to get to know her better. She was recommended to me to be on the podcast by Kellie Hall Sbrocchi. If y'all haven't watched her interview, it's fabulous. And so I know she's good people because she was recommended by good people. Hi, Riley. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. And yes, I will echo that. Kellie is phenomenal.
She's incredible. So it sounds like you are also someone who's doing both. So tell us a little bit more about you, anything that you would like for my listeners to hear.
Absolutely. I mean, you gave me some introduction. Just to echo on that, I'm an active duty Marine Corps captain stationed currently right now in Quantico, Virginia. I'm actually gearing up for a deployment to Iraq, which is exciting. In this upcoming spring. In addition, like you said, I am a member of Team USA Bobsled. I'm actually currently here in Germany right now about to compete at World Championships, which I'm so excited for. And then I am Miss Military. That was a pageant that I had won. And then in addition, I'll throw this one in there. I do have a book that is going to be coming out this summer. It's a children's book. So I'm really excited for that as well.
Oh, I love it. I love to interview women who are doing amazing things and who are just accomplishing and winning in life. So before we even jump into too much, I want to know, what is your definition of winning?
That's really good. And the definition changes, obviously, depending on what I'm doing in the multifaceted roles that I have. So right here at Bobsled, winning is getting first place and being crowned world champion, right? That's winning. But I think winning is actually, the word win is something my dad and I break down, and it stands for what's important now, W-I-N, what's important now. And being able to win is, hey, am I doing the things that I need to now and the proper precedence, and am I giving all of myself to that? So winning for me is, do I have the correct priorities? Am I putting the right emphasis and focus on them? And am I being able to be successful in whatever measure that is? If I am, then I'm winning, and I want to win every day.
I am in love with that definition. What's important now? I love it. Okay, cool. When you look at your life as a whole and all of the things, I mean, you're still relatively young, but you've experienced a lot of life. So was there a defining moment that's happened in your life so far that may have changed the trajectory of your life or had a big impact on you?
Absolutely. And immediately when you ask that, there's one thing that really comes to my mind. And that was when I made the choice of accepting Christ into my life in college. That really changed my whole trajectory in life. I was a college athlete. I knew that I was going to join the Marine Corps, right? The maybe outside big things didn't seem like it changed, but my heart, my mentality, my perspective, my purpose completely shifted and changed. And it was my junior year of college when I really accepted Christ completely. And ever since then, haven't looked back. And I've been so impressed by the change of my heart, in the sense of, I don't curse anymore. I don't wear maybe certain clothing. I don't act a certain way. Or my purpose and my goal in life is to make people's lives better because they've met me in some capacity, right? Maybe I give someone a compliment, and maybe I see another woman, and instead of being like, oh, she's prettier than me or she's more successful than me, I'm going to tell her, you're stunning, or you are so talented. I'm going to cheer for you. I want your best, even if it's better than my best, because I want to uplift our community. And that's something that I really want to focus on. And I think that mind shift only happened because I became very confident in who I am, because I know whose I am. And that gave me different perspective.
That's one thing that every time when our daughter will go somewhere, we're like, you need to remember who you are and remember whose you are. And it's that, whether it sticks or not, I don't know. But it's that reminder every single time to remember who you belong to. So I love that. I love that so much. So when you're looking at bobsled and the military, are there any similarities between the two?
There is, 100%. So bobsled and the military both require a lot of leadership. I'm an officer in the military, and then I'm a pilot in bobsled. So I'm in charge of that sled. I'm in charge of Marines, and that takes a lot of responsibility in the sense that I have to be really on top of what's ahead of me. I have to prepare physically, mentally, emotionally. And then the the fast pace of both of them, right? Bobsled, I go up to 90 miles an hour driving and things are coming at me very, very quickly. Mm-hmm. In the military, you know, when you're in training or you're doing things like, or, you know, goodness forbid, eventually combat, right? Things are happening very, very quickly, and you need to rely on your training in order to adjust to what's going on around you, right? And so in that sense, I think I'm a better bobsledder because of my military background and experience and how to handle stress and pressure and curveballs that are thrown at you. And I think I'm a better Marine because of bobsled, because I am able to show the community that we are all athletes, how to train, how to eat, how to recover, how to sleep properly, and take care of your body longevity to be able to continue to be that tactical athlete that all Marines are.
Now, how hard is it for you to pursue bobsled while being active duty? Especially if you're going to be deployed. Like, how hard is that?
It's very difficult. It's very difficult. And I think there's a reason why people haven't done it before. Mm-hmm. You know, there hasn't been a Marine necessarily who's done bobsled. There's been active duty, you know, members, but being in full time to both, it just pulls me differently. The physical fitness requirements alone are extremely different, but I'm a Marine 24/7. And when I'm gone and I'm traveling, I'm competing, I'm not physically there and present with my team. And that makes it difficult. But overall, I think big picture, I'm able to help make stride and progress and highlight the Marine Corps in a positive light. And so that to me is worth it. But I would be lying if I didn't say like it's a massive struggle. And there's days when I wish that I didn't have to dual hat both all the time, because I can't 100% ever concentrate in just one of them.
What's the value in that though? Where's your benefit?
Absolutely. My benefit is that I am able to hopefully go through a narrow path that's never been taken before to widen that for other people. My goal is to be the first in something, not for my own accolade or glory, but to be the first so that other people can see that it's possible. And that path just gets wider and wider and wider. And women and men that have this talent, that are probably more talented than I am, are able to easily walk through the path because barriers have been broken for them.
Now, you got into bobsled like later in life. You were a softball player in college, right?
Correct.
And then
yes.
You joined the Marines, and then you started bobsled. Is that right? And how did that all happen?
The quick answer, God did.
He's cool like that.
A little bit more detailed answer is that where I played softball in college is where one of the most decorated bobsled athletes ever has played as well. Actually, I'm with her here in Germany, and she just won a silver medal in world championships for the mono bob discipline, which is incredible. And I knew about the sport because of her. And I hit the teammate next to me one day when she was presenting, and I was just like, in another life, like I would be a bobsledder, but I dedicated my life to the military. And that another life tended to happen 4 years later when it was COVID. I had trained and was finally in the fleet, and I needed something to continue to train for. And I saw this opportunity present itself, and I decided to be bold. I had the backing of my leadership, and I took a chance. And, you know, less than 4 years later, here I am about to compete in other world championships and represent Team USA. And I couldn't be more proud.
What led you to be a Marine?
God, but like I accepted a Division I softball scholarship to play at George Washington University in DC. I grew up in Indiana, so it was a little bit further from me. And I had just a feeling that I wanted to be involved in the current situation that was happening in the Middle East. I knew that post 9/11 things were still really happening, and I just felt a calling to try to help. So I thought the help was to maybe be in DC and try to do the political side and help with policy. And I was approached by a Marine officer, and I fell in love with everything he had to say about the Marine Corps. The challenge, how it's the most physically demanding branch, how there's very, very few women, how I can help break, a female stereotype, how I get to lead people for the rest of my life, and physical fitness is expected and a part of my job. And then, to challenge myself into doing something. I've never shot a weapon before then, right? And so the uncomfortableness of, can I put myself in this environment? And then I say this all the time in any interview stuff. I never even thought being a Marine was a possibility because I'd never seen it. And so I said to myself, wait, I could do this, prove it to myself, and then show it to so many others that this is an opportunity and this is a path for people. And that to me became my goal, is to be so squared away and highlight my journey so that people can see that they can do that. So there's not young women growing up anymore thinking that they could never be a Marine, or not even realizing that that's a possibility for them.
So what's a piece of advice that you've been given that has changed you or impacted you in a big way?
Oof. There's been a lot of really good advice, I would have to say. And I think, gosh, there's so many that I could like talk about right now, but failure is not who you are, but it's a part of your story, is probably some advice that I really have taken. Failure does not define you as a person. You failed an event. You didn't fail life. You didn't, fail anything, but it's a part of your journey to open up other doors and stuff that you wanted. And so much of my life I have failed, and you did not have me on the podcast today to hear about, oh, Riley, the failure, right? Like, but people often will hear the things that I've done and they're like, well, you just have done all these great accomplishments. And I'm like, you should see how many times I failed. Mm-hmm. I have probably failed 99 times and I've succeeded one, and you're seeing the 1% of the success, and not the heartbreak and not the no's and not the things. And that is a part of my story. It's a part of my testimony, is these failures closed doors or made me push harder in something else to where that door opened. And I think we live in a world with a lot of depression and anxiety, and a lot of times people will define themselves as a failure. And I'm like, I want to reiterate that and change that narrative of, you are not a failure. You may have failed at an event, but that is a part of your story or redemption of where you're going next. And that to me recently has really been sticking with me.
That resonates with me because I'm the daughter of an Olympic champion. So my father went to the Olympics in 72. He won a silver. 76, he won a gold. He was world champion, all the things. But when he was young, he was slow, short, and uncoordinated. So he wasn't a very highly sought after athlete by any means. And when he was young, there was a time when he went to my grandfather and he's like, I'm just not any good. And my grandfather says, no, son, you haven't found what you're good at yet. Keep looking. And so that's what led him to rifle shooting, which is, you're trying to make the body stop, not go. So you can be not the most athletic or strong or fast individual and do really well. But it's that mindset. You haven't found what you're good at yet. And it sounds like that's what was happening to you. You're having these doors closed. So then you could find, what is that thing that God's put you on the planet to do? And now you're succeeding, or at least trying to, every single day.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your advice to girls who, they might be watching this and say, man, I could never be a Marine. I mean, what's your advice to them if they're intrigued by it, but they just don't believe they could do it? Or even bobsled, or any goal that they feel like they're limited and unable to accomplish?
I say this all the time, and I reiterate and focus it every time. Stop telling yourself no before you even start. And it's the same thing that you just said, right? If someone's listening to this and they're intrigued, but they don't think they can. Yeah, there's your problem. You're not even getting past your own self. And you're supposed to be your biggest advocate. You know more than anybody what you're capable of or what you think that you can do. But whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. So stop restricting yourself and telling yourself no. I mean, that I tell you all the time, there's nothing special about me. I work my butt off. Yes, I'm an athlete. Yes, I play Division I, but like, I'm not this naturally gifted anything. Like, I've had to work for it. But what I haven't done is not bet on myself and not given myself that opportunity, or at least not seek it past that level, right? Where I have my close people that maybe I'm like, hey, is this a good idea? What do you think about this? But I would say to girls, there's your problem in how like you think that. You're like, well, I could never. You haven't even tried. You haven't even thought. You won't even give yourself a chance. You have already shut that door and told yourself no before you even ask questions, before you even put it out there that that's something that you want to do or something you're interested in. And I did the same thing initially to bobsled. I hit my teammate next to me. Oh man, in another life I would be a bobsledder, but I just can't right now. Well, that was accurate. I couldn't right now, right then. Mm-hmm. But if I would have closed that door, I would have been like, nope, like I shouldn't follow bobsled, or I shouldn't pursue it, or I shouldn't continue to be a fan of someone that does bobsled. When that opportunity came, I probably would have been like, nah, I can't do it. I'm in the Marine Corps. That's never been done before. I just moved. I can't do that. I've never bobsled before in my life. That would never happen. Or I've never saw a female Marine, so I probably can't do it. I don't look like what a lot of the Marines look like. So I shouldn't even try. Stop telling yourself no before you even give yourself a chance.
I remember my dad said once, he says, your goals aren't realized unless you stop thinking about them. He's like, if you keep thinking about it, doors will open to make that goal possible. The only reason that goal doesn't happen is because you stop focusing on it, you stop thinking about it, and it stops becoming important to you.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I feel like that's what you're basically talking about is, hey, I decided, it was made as a decision. Why not try? Why not start?
And again, failure is not who you are. It's part of your story. I have tried things and I have failed, but because I failed, another door opened. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I could imagine not having this in my life now, but only because I thought that I wanted to do this and that didn't work out. And that's why I think God, has this plan, and the desires on your heart are put there for a reason. They're not random, right? Like I literally have zero desire, like, I don't know, to like be a plumber. But if I like somehow come to love plumbing, like that's there for a reason. Like when I saw that bobsledder talk, when I saw Lana talk, I got butterflies and chills being like, I want to do that. Like that doesn't just come out of nowhere. Like that's been placed there. And so if anyone's listening, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because you've had that thought go as Heather and I are talking, your thought has gone, oh,
Yeah, that's what that.
yeah, but I couldn't. Right, exactly. And it's roasting in your mind, your gut, and you're like, but I've never told anybody, or it's never been done before, or I don't know if people would approve, or whatever that circumstances is. It's like, put yourself out there. And failure is not who you are. If you fail, it's not who you are. It's something that didn't work out, so something better can come.
Okay, so let's talk about failure for a minute, because I think you do have to fail in order to learn. And then failure actually leads to success. So tell me about the biggest failure you feel like you've had, or a time when you haven't won, but it's taught you something really important.
Yeah, there's been so many. I wish I could point you to one, but one that people don't know in like my sports career is my dad was a professional baseball player, and my whole life I wanted to make him proud and be a top level softball player. And I've seen the close knit community that he had when he won a conference championship at Arizona, and he has his name on the record boards, right? And I wanted that. And I was 15, 16 years old, and I was getting heavily recruited, and I was like so excited for this opportunity to get recruited and stuff. And one of, at the time, became my dream school was I got recruited by South Carolina, and I like could not wait. And my dad and I went on a recruiting trip. We went to South Carolina. I went to the football game. I got like treated like a princess, right? It's the SEC. It's the palm trees. It's everything. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to school here. And essentially, they were like, yeah, you can walk on. And heartbroken, gut wrenched after all of this. And I'm like, oh, well, I can't afford that. And that's not the vision. If I walk on, you don't really care about me as an athlete, like in my opinion, as a 15, 16-year-old. Right. So I was like, all right, well, don't worry. I have another school visit planned 2 weeks later for the University of Louisville. My grandma lived in Kentucky. They're a top school, ACC, all this stuff. So I'm like, okay, don't worry. Like, again, that door closed, so this could open, right? Like, okay, maybe it's not that, but it's Louisville. It's Louisville. Buy Louisville stuff, show up, same thing. Went to a Louisville basketball game, which is like it. And full around, and I'm meeting the other girls, and I'm seeing the team, and Indiana's so close. And I'm like, okay, this is it. This is where I'm going to go. Sat down with the coach again, and they're basically like, hey, we're going to offer you this very, very small amount. And again, back to back, I just felt destroyed. I felt I wasn't valued. I felt like I wasn't enough. I felt like I was letting my dad down, let alone me down. And I would not have gone to George Washington. I would not have been a Marine. I would not have studied another language. I would not have worked for a congressman. I would not have joined the bobsled team. I would not have, and I go on and on and on and on. If I didn't get told no, and absolutely heartbroken as a kid, heartbroken, and felt like I was the biggest failure, because I did. And that's when, again, a couple weeks later, I got the call from George Washington. They offered me. I accepted. Look at where I've gone now because of that. Another like massive failure, and again, like stuff that people don't really know, is like my first initial military physical fitness test, I failed. I was not a strong 3-mile run person at all. And so I was like, oh, I can do it. I'm an athlete, right? And it was just inner squad, and I could not pass my run. A 3 mile run as a softball player, it's a lot, and it's in a fast time. And that's something that a lot of people don't know either. It's my very first test, and it scared me straight of like, I will never have this feeling again. And I worked that much harder to where I've never had to, worry about it since. So stuff that people would assume that would be easy, just like didn't happen. And I was told no, or I was told I wasn't good enough for all of these things, right? But that doesn't reflect who I am as a circumstance that led me to where I really am supposed to go.
If you were to go back and talk to maybe your childhood self at like 10, 11 years old, what would you tell her?
I would tell her to continue to prioritize the right things, especially now with where I see children. I would tell her to put the phone down. I would tell her comparison is the thief of joy. I would tell her that your journey and where you're going is way better than anything you could imagine, and uplift those around you and keep your head down and work hard. I see, too many times now with younger girls, comparison of what they have, what they don't have because of social media. I see people on their phones way too dang much. I see people not doing the hard work. I see people tending sometimes to make more excuses or trying to work harder to get out of things than work hard by doing it correctly. And I think if I would have known that, I would have been more content with who I was as a person instead of trying so hard to be like everyone else or being like even my father. I would have tried to pursue my own destiny instead of something that maybe I thought that I should be.
So with bobsled, what's the journey? I mean, the Olympics are in 2026. How do you get from here to there?
Totally. The ultimate dream is to be the first female Marine in the Olympics. That's absolutely something that I want to pursue. But even then, my bigger goal, my bigger dream is to use the testimony and the gifts that God gave me through sport to glorify him and to inspire people along the way. And that's my ultimate goal, is people to see that and be like, wow, if she did that, I could do that. Or wow, she really talks about this God guy. Like, who is that? or stuff like that, right? So how can I use this platform to initiate change, to make the world better, to make my sport better, and to make our community within the United States better?
So you're going to be moving, apparently, or being deployed. Is that something that makes you obviously nervous? I can't imagine you wouldn't be nervous for that. Is there a way that people can pray for you? Is there something that you need? And even in the pursuit of bobsled, I know that it's a very expensive sport. What do you need from people in order to maybe advance in all of the things that you're wanting to do?
Absolutely. The first one, you hit the nail on the head. The first and most important thing anyone can do for me is just pray. And whether you're like, I don't know how, that's okay. Don't tell yourself no before you try, right? But, just pray for safety. Pray that God leads me where I'm supposed to go. Pray for my health, and that whoever, is around it is just safe and we're able to pursue, and do the right thing by the right people. Second thing you can do, which is very easy, is just simply follow me on social media. I'm only on Instagram. There's only one of me. There's a lot of big accounts out there, but just follow along with my story and what I'm doing. I think the more that people engage or follow, the more other people can follow. And like I said, that's my ultimate goal. And then lastly, there are some ways financially to support, because bobsled for me is self-funded. So I have to support myself. And then, so there's some links and stuff like that. But I want to start by saying the most important thing is to pray, because I believe that God has the power to do so much more and to open up the financial doors, to open up the platforms like this that you've given me, Heather, to speak to people and hopefully in particular touch, hopefully a ton of women as well.
So my company is called Sumlin Solutions because I feel like there's a solution to most problems if we're just trying to look for it. So is there a time when you've had to develop a solution to a difficult problem that you think of?
Yes. And sometimes I've tried solutions and they weren't positive,
they weren't solutions.
I think, the biggest solution I've had to have recently is managing time management by going back to old school handwritten calendars. I tried to do Google. I tried to do phone. When I wouldn't have my phone around, I would like miss things or like miss people and not answer stuff. So I went old school to solution of like, wait, what do I have tomorrow? Like, who am I meeting with? Or, being an athlete, what time's practice? Wait, what do I have for a job? What meetings? I went back, I got an old school calendar so I can see everything, and I just write everything down. And I'm very big in wanting to feel accomplished. So then I'll just check things off. Mm-hmm. And there's so much satisfaction that I think that we forget by like feeling so accomplished and like writing it out, multiple senses, right? You see it, you're writing it. Yep. And then I validate that it's done. That's something for me, solution wise, so I can better time management, better prioritize people, and then look ahead on like what's next to make sure that I'm prepared.
So one of the things we do at mental management is we're trying to build self-image, right? So we're trying to build confidence. And one of the ways you do that, well, the only way to do it is through imprinting. And so when you're handwriting, when you're writing something down in your own handwriting, it imprints stronger than if you just put it in your phone. And so I feel like you're basically imprinting, I am going to accomplish these things tomorrow. And then when you check it off, I actually accomplished that and I actually did it. So it's powerful. It's so incredibly powerful. And I wish more people would utilize the handwritten opportunity. I know we have technology and technology makes things easier, but it doesn't honestly make things better always. Mm-hmm. And the distractions are there. I think that's also maybe what you found. You grab your phone and then next thing you know, you've gotten lost on Instagram for a while. Or whatever the social media like hole that you find yourself in will happen if you grab that phone too much. So I'm so honored to have a chance to talk to you. This is so fun. What advice would you give just in general to women who are listening who want to be successful?
My biggest thing that I can give to women is we oftentimes will attack our own. And we know our struggles and our emotions better than anybody. And my biggest advice is befriend other women. If you see someone that has something that you admire or you like, tell them. Give them the compliment. Make them smile. Admire their work. Vocalize it. Speak it. And make sure we're lifting each other up instead of sometimes attacking, going on our own. There's plenty of room at the top. And lastly, to women, stop apologizing so much. Apologizing so much. You have a place at every table. You have a place in every conversation. Your voice deserves to be heard. And I see that a trend that a mentor told me once. It's like, oh, I'm sorry to bother you, but it's like, why do you start your conversation like that? Your male counterparts don't come in here asking, like, sorry that they bothered me. They come in here and they ask. And so if you do something wrong, say sorry. Yeah. Don't overly apologize for how you feel, what you say, and all these kinds of things. So those would be like the two big things that I would tell women.
Well, and that's like making an assumption that you're bothering somebody. You're automatically walking in with a negative. Like, I'm so sorry to bother you, but so then you're basically saying, I'm a bother.
Right. Exactly. You downgrade yourself without even realizing that.
Oh.
Right? Like,
yes.
And you don't realize how much you say that in your speech when you talk to other people.
I think we're going to tackle that for our Patreon members because I think that's so incredibly important that we watch how we communicate with ourselves and with others in order to really elevate. So we can advance and head to the next level. You wouldn't be able to be a Marine captain, a USA Bobsled, or I guess is that how we word it? A member of the USA Bobsled team. And I also want to learn more about Ms. Military because I think that would be really cool to know about too for our Patreon members. So thank you, Riley, so much for your time. It has been a pleasure. What is your Instagram handle? Is it just your name?
Mm-hmm. It is. It's Riley, RILEY Tejcek, TEJCEK.
Awesome. Everybody go follow Riley and follow her journey. If you're not already a Patreon member, join my Patreon membership because we're going to pick her brain a little bit more. Thank you so much.
Thank you.